It has been more than long enough. It's time to return to the FireRed runs, and we are starting quite aptly with a starter called Meganium. So a very warm welcome back to the world of FireRed. We are rejoining this series after around about 18 months away from it, and I am very excited to get up and running with the FireRed content once more. And we are resuming with the Gen 2 starters. The first pick is Meganium, but of course to get to a Meganium we need to go through Chikorita and Bayleaf, and this is our very first battle. There's no lingering around in FireRed. The rival wants to get up in your face straight away. Unfortunately for him, we knock him out with the greatest of ease, and we can start moving onwards and upwards towards our first gym together already. Before we do that, we will of course see the very first encounter with a wild Pokemon. It's a level 3 Pidgey, and this is going to be a very easy battle. Pidgey of course does not have any flying type moves, and now we can move on to our first gym together. This is Brock, he is the rock type specialist. We've got Razorleaf by this point, and this is going to be easy. While we're going through some of these easy early game battles, I'll give everyone a quick reminder of the rules because some of them have changed since our original FireRed series. We're still just using our starter in battle, in this case the Chikorita line. We are still catching the HM friends to progress through the game. We are allowing ourselves to catch a Meowth with pickup, on the off chance it'll either get a rare candy, a nugget, or even the hidden power TM. That is something that could be game changing for a run, and while it is an element of RNG, I think it will make some runs a lot more exciting. The other change is we are allowed to use rare candies from the second we step into the Pokemon League. The League in FireRed is particularly difficult compared to the League in Emerald, and because we don't have that big build up at Red, I think it's only fair to give every single Pokemon an equal opportunity to get through the League as fast as possible. Every single Pokemon is going to have different roadblocks, and because we're not going for a big final boss, we're going for a big final gauntlet, it's only fair to then give every Pokemon the chance to level up when it needs it. And other than that, the only other rule is that I'm allowed to pause the timer to catch the HM friends. I can also pause the timer to catch enough Pokemon to get Flash, and the timer can also be paused for thinking time or little breaks. And now with the rules out of the way, let's rejoin the action here at Rival 2 where we've taken our first reset. This is a particularly tough battle for Bayleaf. We're going to be relying on an awful lot of luck because we don't have anything too great to get through either his fire types or his Pidgeotto at the start, and that almost guaranteed sand attack makes this even more a game of RNG. We get very lucky on this turn though, and we get to see the Abra. We're missing our tackles left, right and centre, but we've still got 31 tackle PP as we grow to level 22. And then it's one Razorleaf to finish off his Rattata. But we're not done with the rival yet, because our next key battle, believe it or not, is another rival battle. It's back-to-back rival battles here in FireRed. And once again, he's leading with that very pesky Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto's accuracy drops was one of the things that really frustrated me about playing FireRed last time. We'll have to try and think of ways to work around it. And now we can finish off the rival's Kadabra to beat him for the second time in a row, and our reward is a lovely evolution. So it's goodbye to Bayleaf and hello to Meganium. We'll be running with this for the rest of the challenge now, and we'll see just how well we get on with Meganium against Lieutenant Surge. He's our third gym leader together, and he leads with Voltorb. Voltorb was a one-shot with Razorleaf, as was the Pikachu. We continue Razorleaf so we don't get statics, but we end up paralysed by the Raichu anyway. We've just got to hope that one of our Razorleafs hits, which it eventually does, and we defeat Surge in 26 minutes and 54 seconds. And now, as I was digging my way out of the Celadon Underground, I noticed that Meowth was holding an item, and I was in shock because it was the Hidden Power TM, so we are absolutely going to be saying goodbye to Reflect and hello to Hidden Power Dark in its place. I kind of wish I'd have factored Hidden Power into setting our DVs here, so we are running with Hidden Power Dark, but that isn't the worst type for Kanto. We come across a surprisingly high number of psychic types across this run, but for now we're facing our first Giovanni battle. He is of course mostly a ground type specialist with a Kangaskhan mixed in for good measure, and this is an incredibly easy battle. It's going to be 3 shots on the Kangaskhan to finish him off, and we can now move on to our fourth gym together. This is Erica's grass type gym. She is of course a grass type specialist just like ourselves, and she's leading with Victory Bell. It's going to be a 2-shot on the Victory Bell as we paralyze it with Body Slam, and here comes the Tangler. It's exactly the same situation with the Tangler, but we finish it off with a hidden power to try and preserve our Body Slam PP. Up next is Vileplume, and we use a couple of hidden powers, and then we get Uno reversed because we are now paralyzed. We could be in danger of fainting here because Acid's super effective. We just about break through it though, and we get through Erica in a time of 45 minutes and 38 seconds. Let's now move on to Lavender Town, where the 4th rival battle is waiting for us. He's led with a Pidgeotto that's already gone down, and we do exactly the same against the Charmeleon. We have a huge level advantage over the rival in this battle, so this is relatively meaningless. It's one-shot City all the way to the Gyarados, and we finish that off with a pair of Razor Leaf. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rival number 5. We're doing back-to-back rival battles once more because that's the way the story progressed for Meganium, and this time he is a lot buffer than he was before. Having a grass type is actually making this battle one of the hardest we will see. We get knocked out by Flamethrower on the Charizard and we have to start again. We are hoping for a little bit of luck and a little bit of RNG here, combined with an awful lot of stalling. We've got Synthesis on the learn set and we have to play to Meganium's strengths. It is there to sap away at the opponent's health bit by bit, while also recovering its own health. We get the lucky paralysis here on the Charizard, and that means we can go into attack mode, especially because we get the Scary Face miss and the paralysis to freeze it in its tracks, and the rest of this battle is relatively simple. It's a one-shot on the Execute, it's going to be a one-shot on the Alakazam as well, and that just leaves Gyarados left to go. Intimidate lowers our attack, so we've only got 73 in battle attack, but that should be more than enough to see us through the rest of this battle. We defeat him for the 5th time, and we move on up to the top of Silphco, where Giovanni is waiting for us once more. This time he leads with Nidorino, and for some reason I'd convinced myself that this was part ground, so I used Razor Leaf a couple of times, and that really got us in low health for the rest of this battle incredibly early. Combine that with yet another paralysis from the Nidoqueen, and we're going to have to go into Synthesis. This is going to be our best way to recover health and get through the rest of this battle. We are looking for a couple of paralysis freezes on the Nidoqueen as well. We can knock it out with a further couple of hidden powers, and we are on to the Kangaskhan. This thing's incredibly bulky, so we're going to start with a Body Slam. Rage builds, but he swaps to Tail Whip for no good reason. And that means the Kangaskhan was incredibly easy. Rhyhorn is of course 4 times weak to Razor Leaf, so we just need to get one of those to connect. We defeat the Rhyhorn, and we are through Giovanni for the 2nd time. While we're in Saffron City, we might as well take on Serena. She is the Psychic type specialist of the region, and she leads with Kadabra. It's a one-shot on the Kadabra, and up next is a Venomoth. This is the dangerous Pokemon of this lot, but we still use a couple of hidden powers to knock it out, and here comes Mr. Mime. It's going to be a 2-shot on the Mr. Mime because it's got surprisingly big bulk behind it, and then we can of course move on to the Alakazam. This is Sabrina's ace, but honestly it's not much of an ace for Meganium. We've got a lot of special defense behind us, so it's going to barely tickle us. We finish it off in 3 hits, and then we get through Sabrina in a time of 1 hour, 1 minute and 33 seconds. Now here is a dangerous gym leader. This is Koga. He's a poison type specialist and we're pure grass, so this could go incredibly badly. I was expecting an awful lot of resets here at Koga. We get through the coughing relatively easily, and we can see how it is against the muck. We're using Body Slam to our advantage there on turn 1, and it gets itself paralysed. We swap to Hidden Power because Acid Armor has really buffed its defense, and even with all those minimalizes, we're able to 3-shot it. Up next is another coughing. This should be relatively harmless. The worst it can do is try and poison us. We're holding a Pecha Berry just in case that happened, and 2 shots knocks it out. The final Pokemon is Weezing, and we are going to be going once again for the paralysis. We have had an incredibly easy ride at Koga. Time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 8 seconds. And now it's time for the Blaine saga. This run has been going incredibly well so far. We have only had 2 resets, and they were both at rival battles. But Blaine, let me tell you, he's something else in this generation. We are so used to him being an absolute pushover in Generation 2, but he can provide one of the biggest challenges in any run, especially if you're weak to fire like we are with the Meganium. I tried everything to get through at level 52. We have a huge level advantage over most of his Pokemon. This should be easy, but we get double intimidated in this battle, and that means we really cannot touch our physical moves whatsoever. Even stalling this battle is incredibly tricky. We are at burn risk an awful lot of the time. We're going to have to try and toxic stall. This is going to be our best chance to get through, but I think it'll come as no surprise that we're not going to get through at level 52. Once we get the burn, I decide to just do the grind. There are an awful lot of trainers in and around Cinnabar Island, so it's not that tricky to get a few levels if you absolutely need them. I don't know what it is about FireRed, but unless you're running a Pokemon with very, very specific typings and stat spreads, there's always going to be one roadblock. Sometimes it can be Sabrina, other times it can be Koga, this time it is Blaine. We're going back in at level 54. We one-shot the Growlithe now with a lucky critical hit, and we are so close to one-shot range on the Ponyta. We're still not quite there though, and we're gonna have to stall a little bit more. Instead of directly knocking out this Ponyta, I decide to try and stall it a little bit. I want to try and get up to as much health as possible and have the Toxic knock it out. We're on 121 HP as the Rapidash comes out, and this thing will still hit like a truck. Fire Blast does an awful lot of damage to us. Blaine uses a full heal, so we have to go back to the Toxic, and we are middling around about the yellow HP whenever we get hit. We get incredibly lucky that Fire Blast misses on a turn, and now we can just keep stalling. Fire Blast misses again, so we decide to go in for the KO. We knock out the Rapidash, and we can at least see how bad this Arcanine's going to be. We start off by Toxicking, and we are getting a lot of damage from a single Fire Blast. Fire Blast misses on turn number 2 though, and that gives us a chance to attack. We critical hit, we knock it out, and we fluke our way through this battle in a time of 1 hour 22 minutes. Let's now move on to our final gym leader. This is Giovanni of Viridian City, who is a ground type specialist, and thank goodness for that. We needed a little respite after that awful Blaine battle, but it didn't stop us getting paralysed. But we've now upgraded our Synthesis to Giga Drain. It's a lot more circumstantial, but it's an attacking move that recovers health, so we can do 2 in 1. And even though we're paralysed, the rest of this battle should be relatively easy. The only issue is PP management. We are out of Giga Drain for the Rhyhorn, so we're going to have to use Hidden Power Dark instead. Thank goodness Rhyhorn has next to no special defense. He gets caught in a healing loop. We critical hit to finish off the Rhyhorn, and we obtain the Earth Badge in 1 hour, 25 minutes and 36 seconds. And with that, we have all 8 of our gym badges. There's one thing we have to do though before entering the Pokemon League, and that is battle the rival for the 6th time. And once again, he leads with Pidgeot. Our accuracy is already dropped, and Hidden Power didn't quite two-shot the Pidgeot. That means we're going in on 141 HP against the Charizard. Now, I made a bit of a misplay here. I thought we'd have to Toxic Stall this Zard, but instead I think we're going to be better off just going all-out attack. We haven't been intimidated yet in this battle, so return might end up being a 2-shot. We get through the Pidgeot on 140 HP, and here comes the Charizard once more. Scary Face misses, and we get a very lucky critical hit to make it through. And now the rest of this battle should be relatively trivial. It really is just about getting through that Charizard for the rival battles with Meganium, and that's exactly what we've done here. We can now sweep the rest of his party, gaining back up to full health against the Rhyhorn, and we can Giga Drain the Gyarados as well, just to add a bit of insult to injury. We end up using a cocktail of all our moves here against the Gyarados, but we do eventually knock it out, and we can start making our way towards the Pokemon League in 1 hour 31 minutes and 40 seconds. And now that we're at the Pokemon League, this is where things could get a little bit hairy. Our first league member is Lorelei. She's an Ice-type specialist who leads with Dugong. We're not one-shotting the Dugong, even though we have Stab and Super Effective in our favour, and that doesn't bode well for the rest of this battle. We swap to Hidden Power against the Slowbro as Ice Beam deals a fair chunk of damage towards us, and here comes the Lapras. We critical hit to grow back to full health, but then we get confused. I'm still not used to the Pokemon League here in Gen 3 Kanto, so I don't know what items to be going in holding, especially what berries, because if I'd have known that Lapras had Confuse Ray, I would probably have gone in with some kind of confusion curing berry. Then we get sent to sleep by the Jinx just to make things even worse, and then Jinx just uses her fisticuffs to knock us out. Let's try that again, shall we? We're going to be going in with roughly the same strategy. I think we're onto a winner. We just need to make sure that A, we don't get confused, and B, we don't get sent to sleep. In the end, I decided that holding a Chesto Berry was probably more important than holding a Bitterberry in this instance, because I think being sent to sleep is going to be much, much worse than being confused. We get through the Slowbro in a few hits, and here comes the Lapras once more. We take it down into half health, we get confused, and it uses Citrus Berry to heal itself back up. Ice Beam hits like a truck, but we hit through the confusion enough to at least see the Jinx. And now we must have been above some threshold for this battle, because Jinx uses Attract instead. This is something I hadn't even considered. We were very lucky though to hit through our Attract, and then we're onto the Cloyster. As we know, Cloyster has no special defense, so we knock it out in 2 hits, and we are through Lorelei in 1 hour, 40 minutes and 21 seconds. Let's move on to Bruno. He's a fighting type specialist just like in Generation 2, and he leads this time with Onyx. Now, Bruno still could be quite threatening to us, especially because we're not familiar with the Pokemon League yet. I cannot stress that enough. We're going in almost blind to what all of these League members have. We know roughly what Pokemon they have, but we have no idea what moves any of these League members have. And not having that prior knowledge is part of the fun of learning the game. I'm not going to get the best times with these Pokemon, especially at the beginning, but I love figuring out exactly what strategies I should be going in with for later runs, and I'm hoping that a few years down the line, just like we've done with Crystal, we'll see that improvement and we'll think to ourselves in a couple of years down the line, my goodness, why was Squidgy playing like that? But for now, we've just got to work with what knowledge we have. We know that a Hitmonlee is out now, which Mega Kicks us for a little bit of damage. We do regain health thanks to a Citrus Berry, and we are back onto the Machamp. We're going to try and Toxic Stall this a little bit. Our speed is now lower than the Machamp's as he starts setting up, but Toxic has sealed Machamp's fate. Even with a very hard-hitting cross chop, he's going to take too much damage from the Toxic, and then we can finish off the Onyx with a single Giga Drain. We are through Bruno in a time of 1 hour, 44 minutes and 28 seconds. Let's now move on to our third League member, and it's a warm welcome along to Agatha. She's a Ghost-type specialist, but she's more of a Poison-type specialist, and she leads with Gengar. We two-shot the Gengar, and we are on to Arbok. We've learned Earthquake for this battle, particularly for this pesky Arbok, and we've managed to knock it out in 2 hits, but we are confused. Gengar for some reason has Levitate in this generation. We get sent to sleep, we get Sludge Bombed, and it's all over for us. We hold a Lumberry to cure any stasis condition, so that's almost like the Miracle Berry in Generation 2. And I think that's the play we need to go for here against Agatha. For some reason she withdraws Gengar, we critical hit her second Gengar, and this battle has suddenly become incredibly winnable. We're able to still two-shot this Arbok as it screeches instead of using any stasis condition, and now we've only got 3 Pokemon left to go. One is a half-dead Gengar that goes down in another one-shot, and now we get the chance to learn Solar Beam. We decline it because it's quite frankly a terrible move, and we're on to Golbat. Golbat really is a bit of a pesky Pokemon here, but we get a very well-timed critical hit. My goodness, these critical hits are incredibly lucky for us in this run. And we get through Agatha in a time of 1 hour, 46 minutes and 55 seconds. And now it's time for everyone's favourite scumbag. It's Lance, the liar with the flyers. And he leads with Gyarados, just like he does in Generation 2. Gyarados isn't a Dragon-type Pokemon, it's part water, but we'll absolutely take that, because we can 3-shot it and we're still in the green as Aerodactyl comes out. Once again, Lance, this ain't a dragon. I don't know what you're playing at there, but we'll critical hit to knock you out, and here comes the level 60 Dragonite, and this is where this battle goes all kinds of pear-shaped. And I think it's only fair that we start using our rare candies here against Lance. This is going to be the toughest battle of the lot in the league for Meganium. All of Lance's Pokemon, barring Gyarados, are going to resist, or even worse, quad-resist our grass-type moves. So that means we've got to focus on trying to deal as much damage as possible with our other 3 attacking types. The other 3 is actually more like the other 2 because of Lance's affection to the flying type. So that means we're really just working with Hidden Power Dark and Return. Once again, we get knocked out by the Dragonite, and that means we're going to use another set of rare candies. Up to level 67 we go, and the early battle strategy has not changed at all. We're just going to keep Giga Draining his first 2 Pokemon. They're the only 2 Pokemon where Giga Drain is worth anything at all because it runs neutral, and we eventually knock out the Gyarados, surviving on 200 HP. Up next is Aerodactyl. Now Aerodactyl is much less bulky than Gyarados, but it hits us incredibly hard, especially when it critical hits. We're only on 84 HP as this pesky Dragonite comes out. We heal with a Citrus Berry and then we start using Hidden Power, but once again Wing Attack is far too powerful. So once again, let's use some rare candies. We weren't good enough at that last level, let's see if we're better at level 70. We're now 9 levels higher than we were when we came into this battle, and we are still no further ahead. We have yet to see anything past that level 60 Dragonite. That just shows how big the walls are in FireRed. It doesn't matter what you do, sometimes there is a Pokemon that you just cannot get past without a little bit of artificial health. In this battle, by the way, we're using an incredibly advanced technique. It's called Hit Any Old Move because it might just get us past this bloody Dragonite. In this instance, though, it doesn't quite work out. And that means we're going to have to use our final set of rare candies. It really is now or never. We're up to level 73. That is the maximum we can go up to with the amount of rare candies we have. And once again, we're just going to spam any old move. We're going to try and preserve some Giga Drains just in case we can use them later on in battle. That healing aspect of Giga Drain might come in handy even if it's resisted. It could be the difference between surviving in the red and getting knocked out. We're back onto that pesky level 60 Dragonite. Wing Attack is still hitting like a truck, but then for some reason he goes for Safeguard. That means we have an extra turn to survive against the Dragonite. We have knocked it out for the first time and then we start spamming Giga Drain. Dragonair's special defense is relatively weak compared to Dragonite, and we are on 51 HP for the last Dragonair. It's now or never. We get Thunder Waved, we are out of Giga Drains, we've got to hit our return, which we do, and that means we are through Lance in 1 hour, 51 minutes and 24 seconds, and there's now only one battle left to go. This is the final battle of the game. It's against triple exclamation mark, and he leads with that pesky Pidgeot once more. He goes for Aerial Ace straight off the bat and gets a critical hit just to be incredibly mean, and here comes that Zard. Once again, it's all about getting past this Charizard. Once we're past this Charizard, this battle is easy. But my goodness, this Charizard puts up a lot of defense. The only thing we've got in our favour is that Fire Blast is not 100% accurate. There is a chance it could miss and there's a chance he could Healing Loop. Combine that with a lucky timed critical hit and we might be able to get somewhere. And even though we can tank a single Fire Blast, we've got to be incredibly careful not to get this Charizard into red health. It has Blaze, much like we have Overgrow, and that will significantly boost the power of Fire Blast to a point where it will just one-shot us. We get very lucky here though because we are able to get through the Charizard because Fire Blast misses. That means we are onto the Alakazam and we start drinking the Alakazam's health. We are in the yellow for the Executor. We've got Giga Drain for Executor to try and get up a little bit higher. Then we swap to Hidden Power. We knock it out in 2 shots and here comes Rhydon. Rhydon is just delicious HP. We are back up to the green. There's only one Pokemon between us and our final time now, and that is Gyarados. We start drinking away at the Gyarados. We get it deep into the yellow as he locks into Thrash so he cannot heal. And we are through triple exclamation mark and get our final league time of 2 hours and 25 seconds. That was a tough run. It started off easy but got progressively harder and harder. Now we do already have 3 runs on the FireRed leaderboard and we have usurped Kecleon into 3rd place. So it's Walrein in top spot with a 132.11, Linoon in 2nd spot with a 153.29 and Kecleon is down in 4th spot with a 218.44. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to be back here in FireRed. If you enjoyed this run, then leave a like. If you've got any feedback at all, leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time, I will say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.